Chapter 3. The third law of zero. Information. In the late 1990s, during the Internet's initial heyday, it started to become clear just how much information could be collected on people's online behavior. But Nicholas Negroponte, the founder of the MIT Media Lab, defiantly told us that while his credit card company or someone else might know that he went to see a certain movie, they won't know whether I liked it. No longer. These days, just a few buildings away from the Media Lab, researchers can monitor motion, heart rate, breathing, and even emotions simply by how people reflect ambient radio waves, such as Wi-Fi. So, sensors in a movie theater could now get a read on how Negroponte and the rest of an audience feel about a film. The topic of wiring the world with sensors has drawn attention, mostly for its dystopian possibilities. We're learning just how much information Facebook, in particular, but Google and others have on us, and are happy to sell. In the 2016 U.S. presidential election, we saw how effectively people could be manipulated based on that information. China has also stirred up concern with a plan to use facial recognition to identify people no matter where they are, and to assign them social credits based on their behavior, a la the nosedive episode on the TV series Black Mirror. Jaywalk and you lose credits. Obey all laws and you gradually accumulate credits. But this scenario isn't limited to China. The prospect of governments or even private companies aggregating information from both the physical and online worlds into profiles that would determine people's access to credit, to jobs, to transportation, to everything isn't hard to imagine. Don't think you could run away either. Someone sitting in a public place could call up the profiles of those nearby and collect a bounty by turning in someone who has, say, defaulted on a debt. That scenario is about as creepy as it gets, right? It's not all doom and gloom, however. The ability to monitor everything and everywhere has plenty of potential benefits, especially when combined with the powerful AI capabilities that are coming along. With computing and sensors shrinking in size and increasing in power, AI will be able to perform feats in real time. Think of a situation we're all familiar with, the daily commute. Every car and every street will soon be so wired that traffic will be managed in ways that aren't conceivable today. Even leaving aside for the moment the prospect of driverless vehicles, information will be everywhere. Cars will be able to travel in platoons, just a foot or so apart, because the instant the first car hits the brakes, all the cars behind it will be notified and will also hit the brakes. Just because you can't see what might be coming at you from the sides at an intersection doesn't mean another car can't do it for you and relay that information to your car. E.g., a camera on a car could spot a vehicle zooming at a red light and automatically alert all cars in the vicinity to halt and wait for the danger to clear the intersection. Cars will, in any case, communicate with each other at intersections and work out who goes when, so stop signs and traffic lights will become anachronisms. You might slow a bit as you approach an intersection, but you'll never have to stop again. The presence of ice or any other danger on the road will be immediately communicated to all other cars in the area. Car theft, already dropping rapidly, will virtually disappear. Why try to steal a car when the owner can be notified instantly if the car moves, with police being notified moments later? Drunk driving violations will drop dramatically too. Even if those under the influence of drugs or alcohol haven't summoned an autonomous vehicle for their ride home, the limitless cameras on the road will immediately notice erratic driving and report it to police. They would also learn immediately of many instances of road rage and any contests by those who somehow see driving as a form of the Grand Theft Auto video game. Accidents will plummet, and most remaining claims will be resolved instantly. Who needs claims adjusters when the car's sensors and cameras can report exactly what happened? Basically, traffic will be managed as a single, highly efficient digital system, rather than by setting a modest number of laws and letting hundreds of millions of individual actors sort things out. Sensors will supply information from everywhere else, too, including our bodies. Already, sensors built into contact lenses can measure blood sugar levels. A cuff about the size of a smartwatch can report on blood pressure in real time. The Apple Watch can do an electrocardiogram to look for abnormalities in heartbeats, though not yet at a level that is clinically useful, so please don't say we told anyone otherwise. Tiny cameras can now be sealed into a capsule the size of a cod liver oil tablet that someone can swallow. The cameras screen for cancer as they pass through the person's bowel, meaning the person can avoid the dreaded colonoscopy. In addition, chips the size of a grain of salt are being developed that could be swallowed and provide real-time data on our vital signs from our bloodstreams. Sort of an Internet of Me, to go along with the Internet of Things that's connecting billions of devices to the Internet. As sensors zoom in, they'll also zoom out, thanks to shrinking and ever-cheapening satellites, and telecom companies won't be the only ones putting more things in the sky. While a commercial satellite used to be perhaps the size of a school bus and cost $1.5 billion to $3 billion to design, build, and launch, today's CubeSats are about the size of a loaf of bread, and a constellation of 20 to 36 of the satellites costs $25 to $40 million for the entire project. And that's today. These satellites will keep getting smaller, more powerful, and cheaper. Today's resolution allows for the inspection of images down to about 25 centimeters, or the length of an average man's shoe. But that's an artificial limit established by the U.S. government. 10 centimeters, roughly 4 inches, and even sharper resolution is on its way. Images that go beyond the visual, via radar and electromagnetic techniques, are coming soon, too. As satellites blanket the globe, they'll allow for new levels of navigation, whether that's by tracking North Korean ships as they try to evade embargoes, or by helping that Amazon delivery drone make it to your front doorstep without hitting any of the other drones flying around. The additional, more powerful satellites will greatly improve weather forecasting, too, and farmers will be able to monitor crops like never before. They'll be able to check each morning to see what part of the field might need more fertilizer, more water, or more of some other sort of attention. In other sectors, satellites mean businesses will be able to track operations, employees, and customers as never before. Yes, there will be plenty of privacy issues to sort out. Governments will be able to use the new satellite capabilities to track the effects of climate change, such as rising sea levels or erosion, and spot any number of other sorts of problems. For instance, while environmentalists have pieced together information on thousands of illegal gold mining sites in the Amazon, whose activities often lead to mercury poisoning and increases in malaria, having thousands of cheap satellites would allow those sites to be spotted in days as they develop and then be shut down. Deforestation, overfishing in the ocean, and certain forms of pollution will be tracked in real time and can thus be reduced. Al Gore says that by late 2021, all major sources of greenhouse emissions will not only be measured, but will have most sources updated every 6 hours, providing an unprecedented amount of feedback on how we are, or aren't, doing on climate change. Artificial intelligence can then use this new ocean of data to make ever better predictions of the course and effects of climate change. Human rights abuses will be observed to a new degree. Even now, while the Chinese government has claimed that Muslims in the western part of the country are being placed in vocational schools, human rights activists have shown that watchtowers and razor wire surround many of the schools. A drone captured video of hundreds of the Muslim Uyghurs, blindfolded and handcuffed, being led from trains. Ubiquitous sensors, enhanced by artificial intelligence and drawing on limitless sources of information, will give you a sort of digital overlay of the world, the entire world, and everything in it. You'll be able to manipulate that overlay and view it however you want, even through a set of goggles that allow for virtual, or at least augmented, reality. Kevin Kelly, a founder of Wired magazine, has written of a mirror world, where every physical object will have a digital twin, and where all information is updated instantaneously. Want to fix something? Put on your AR goggles and you can see inside what you're trying to repair, all the while getting instructions on what you need to do. Want to see what happened yesterday, last week, or last year in the exact spot where you're standing? Just put on your goggles and hit rewind. History will become a verb, Kelly writes. Yes, this sort of worldwide nakedness can be, and is, a scary prospect. Big Brother is a real possibility. Asleep or awake, working or eating, indoors or out of doors, in the bath or in the bed. No escape. Nothing was your own except the few cubic centimeters inside your skull, 1984 says. Corporate monopolies could develop that would allow, at the least, for wild riches, and, at the worst, for harmful distortions of markets. Technology lends itself to monopolies. There was IBM and its near monopoly on mainframes from the 1960s through the 1980s. Microsoft then became the 800-pound gorilla through its near monopoly on the personal computer operating system. Google and Facebook now are so dominant that they worry many, and Amazon is sure trying hard to get there in terms of shopping. A monopoly could certainly develop in the gathering, organizing, and disseminating of the world's information. But remember, we're designing a future perfect, not a future pathetic. There are ways to navigate the potential problems if they're acknowledged up front, and avoid either too much government control or too much business control. We'll get to how to avoid those pitfalls. For now, just imagine a world where every bit of information is available that would let you design and manage a future perfect.